So the three groups, okay? Now, can you group the following reporting verbs, phrases into the three groups I just have introduced to you? Okay. Some belong to the first group, make a point to derive or justify, one's argument. The second group, draw reader's attention to a particular point. And group 3, make a position to support or be against other researchers, okay? So, can you just group them into three groups, okay? So these are the key verbs you're going to, not just this or, but okay, but first start from these verbs first, okay? And learn to use these reporting verbs when you report a literature review, okay? Did you finish? Yes? Okay, I'll give you more time, okay? Okay, for the group 1, which verbs or phrases have you chosen? Account for, correct? What else? Claim. Maintain.
Point out.
Point out? Perhaps not. Okay. Okay. We got 2 more.
Suggest.
Suggest. Good. No. Argument. Which word is related to argument? Argue. 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 Okay. Okay. Group 2. Yeah, focus on, correct? Emphasize. Okay, there's a mistake here. Emphasize. Okay, what else? Stress. Reiterate. Underline. Just one more. One more.
Establish.
Point out. Someone point out. Actually, point out. Point out. Point out means what? It's important, right? Okay. Yeah, point out. Okay. Yeah. Point out. Okay. Yeah. Group 3. challenge, dispute, support, okay? In case you, you didn't, so you can check here. Check the answer here, okay? So any question? Start with these verbs first, okay? Try to how to learn to use these verbs, okay? Okay? All right. Okay. So now we have discussed how we can use some certain verbs to kind of report literature, and what verbs use actually can reflect our own attitude, right? Okay. And now we could maybe we try to be more specific. How we're going to cite others' work, okay? So basically, there are kind of 4 citation formats which you can use. These are the most common ones, okay? I just show you the most common ones, okay? All right, okay. Now, author or subject. Can you give me an example? What does it mean? You cite, for example, Stephen, and then the year publication pointed out, okay? Right? This is believed or hold the view that blah blah blah. So author subject, right? So that means the author you cited actually is subject of the sentence. Okay, understand? Now study a subject. Can you give me an example? Maybe you can see that maybe like John's study, right? Johnson's study, Johnson's progressive, not progressive, possessive. Johnson's study, possessive, and then you also indicate the year, maybe 2019, blah blah. Okay, this is subject, right? Then you give a verb. Johnson's study shows or demonstrates, blah 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 blah, right? Okay, yes. So this is a study as subject. Adverbial. As John's pointed out, or as they stated, or as stated by blah 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 blah. The author. Okay, as stated by Johnson, and you indicate the year of publication, and then you quote. You make some direct quotation. Adverbial, usually you make direct quotation, right? And embedded. Embedded, perhaps the most common one. Embedded. So what does embed mean here? Actually, it means that you embed your citation, you're citing others' work. Usually it's a kind of indirect citation, right? So you paraphrase it. And you integrate it, your paraphrase of others' work into your own words. So actually you show, part of sentence shows, the work you cited, okay, but in paraphrase, okay, not direct quotation. On the other hand, you also show people what you believe, your own views, because embedded. So embed others' work into your own words, into your own sentences, okay, so embedded. Parenthetical, what does it mean? Parenthetical, brackets. You can make a statement, right? If this statement is a common one, perhaps these statements can be supported by many researchers, right? So you can just make a statement, then bracket, then you see it can be Johnson 2019, and then maybe Charles blah 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 2015 blah blah blah. So give a kind of a long list, right? Okay, but don't give a very long list, right? Like 3 or 4, or even 5 or 6, right? Okay, don't make it too long. Okay, yes. So these are parenthetical. Okay. Now give me an example, okay? Author, subject, mouse and the broker, this author, right? And you indicate the year publication, developed, lists, blah, 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 right? Use the verb developed, okay, right? Okay. So author, subject. Also, study as subjects. Lickhoff's pioneering work, 1975. Okay, you know, it's pioneering work, so it can be very old, right? It doesn't matter, right? And also, if you use a pioneering work, it means that it's very good, right? It's good work, right? Actually, you still cite the work 30 years later. It means good, pioneering, good, right? So, not only the verb. Sometimes you can use some adjectives as well. It also show your attitude, right? But don't use too many personal adjectives, right? Emotional adjectives, right? Okay, okay. Suggest blah 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 that. This is a study as subject, right? Okay. Adverbial. So as blah 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 the author. Okay, year publication. Ask, point out, state, and then you give a direct quotation, and then you also need to indicate the page number. Right? Okay, page number is here. Okay. For any direct quotation, you have to indicate the. Sometimes we'll put the the page number here after the year publication. You use a comma and then page 18. Okay. Yeah. Some people will do that and then bracket. Okay. So embedded. You see, although code's distinction is clearly a useful one, it also seems blah 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 blah. Right. So actually, also it seems from whose view? Actually, is the author's view. You understand what I mean? Okay, right. So this is embedded. So actually, this is a kind of a way you're going to synthesize your ideas, integrate your ideas, right? Express what you want to say based on others' work. Okay. So that means often in this case, you're going to point out something which has been maybe overlooked, right? And parenthetical, you know, studies, you know, usually use this. When you use this word studies, that means there are quite a lot of studies, right? Right? Okay. Having shown, blah blah blah, and then okay, then you see, you know, you give the bracket, you cite a number of researchers' work here. Okay. So that means, it means what? This is kind of established findings, right? Many people agree with this, right? But even though maybe you know there are still some overlooked perspectives, right? Okay. Right. So do you have any question about this part? Citation formats? I think, you know, you try to learn to use these 5 citation formats, okay? All right, okay? So do not just use only one, okay? It would be boring, right? And also if you include like direct quotation, don't use too many direct quotations, right? Usually I think in turning, usually I think if you use too much direct quotation, it will be considered as a plagiarism, right? Even use quotation marks, right? So by default, I think you use no more than 10%. No 10%. No more than 10% of words should be direct quotations. So I think you should use like embedded, right? Parenthetical, or even the previous one, which is like embedded, right? Previous. Or the subject, study subject, and the review, right? Try to use the different varieties of citation formats, okay? Right. Okay, now source for literature. I think in the study workshops, I already introduced Google Scholar. So are you familiar with how to use Google Scholar now? So I don't need to show you, right? Okay. Eric's database, have you tried? Yesterday I tried to use Eric's database. It seems that I cannot access it. So let me try. It seems that no, I can't. I don't understand why. It's due to some certificate problems. Okay. So it's a pity, but no, I can't.
You just click continue.
You sure?
Yeah,
Okay, let me try again. So yes,
Yes.
and then yes. So
Advanced.
advanced, and then
Then can process to the lower one. Yes, that's correct.
Oh, okay, thank you, okay. All right, okay, so sometimes you have to persist, okay? Yes, but basically you can just, for example, you can try any keywords here. For example, like you can try like other two, maybe try little writing. But I think actually before you have to select peer review only. Peer review only, okay? So that means this article, before it is published, got published, it has been reviewed by someone, okay? Usually it's published by our journal, okay? So you can see that. So peer reviewed, and you can access the full article. So lots of, okay, all right, okay. Okay, so by searching for different keywords you can get, but I think Google Scholar is more useful. Okay, so I strongly recommend you use Google Scholar. Okay, I think it's more user friendly. Okay, right? And you can download the article directly from any computer, available in our university. But at home, I think you have to log in the university library first, right? Then you can download. So if you, for example, type this keyword, computer-assisted vocabulary learning, you can see my first published article. Okay, so computer-assisted vocabulary learning, design evaluation. You see, you can download direct from here or from here. Okay, you can download it. Okay, so very easy. Okay. Or sometimes you can use snowball techniques. Do you understand what the snowball techniques mean? For example, you find a key article, and you read these articles, you identify some interesting references, right? Okay, so you track down that work, right? Okay, snowball, that means you'll get more and more references, right? Snowball, okay? However, you need to treat these resources with caution, like what? Reports, newspapers, thesis, dissertation, or conference proceedings you found on internet, because this may not be peer reviewed. You might be misled. Okay. So I think even it's a dissertation, I think not the quality of all dissertations is good, right? You have to be careful about that. Okay. Particularly if you would like to do some serious research, it's better to stick to like peer-reviewed research articles. Okay. If you're not sure, you can show maybe the resources like a dissertation or thesis, maybe to your supervisor and get some advice. Okay, if you're not sure. So you need to carefully evaluate what to find on the internet. Many sources need to be treated with caution. Okay, so trust published, reviewed research articles. That is the number one resource you should stick to. Okay. Source for literature, okay. I recommend these journals for you if you're interested in doing any second language related research. Language learning is a very serious journal. Paralinguistics is also very serious. Okay, you may find it difficult to understand because they're very long and usually are quite theoretical. Okay, studying second language acquisition used to be a very good journal, but in recent years it seems that still is a good one. Okay, but less prestigious than previous decades. Okay, language teaching research also good one, but also serious. TESOL quarterly, I think is fine, because TESOL quarterly, I think usually it's not very long, and also, I mean, they do publish serious research. Okay. Like language learning technology is a free online journal. Computer assisted language learning, this is a journal I publish a lot. Okay, so it's also a very good journal. Okay. These 3 journals, I strongly recommend for you. It's easy to understand, and not very difficult to understand. Okay. And this one, EIT journal, is quite short. Usually they contain journals of like about 3,000 to 4,000 words in length, not very long. Okay. TESOL EJ is free online journal. Sometimes it could have some good quality articles, not difficult to understand. Okay. System is a versatile journal. It covers everything. Okay. I mean, it's also very productive. It has many issues a year. Okay. And not too difficult to understand. Okay, but these are very serious journals. Okay, right. Now, how to process selected readings? You know, if you want to write a research article, you have to read at least 30 or 40 articles. To do your literature review. Okay, you do not only cite these articles in literature review, or afterwards when you are discussing your results. You still need to refer to literature, right, to back up your findings, right? Okay, yes. So kind of reading is kind of like a cyclic process. You do reading, when you do literature review, and later when you report your findings, discuss your findings, you still have to go back to literature review. Okay. So I just share what I would do. Usually, I will scan the abstract first. First, I will read the title, see whether the title is relevant to my study or not. If it is yes, I will continue. I'll proceed to the abstract. Okay, then I will see, because usually a well-written abstract can contain all the key information you are interested in. So sometimes you don't need to read the whole article. All the key information is already in the abstract. So you only need to, if you understand the abstract, then you know where to locate the key findings. Okay, so basically, when you cite out this work, you are interested in knowing the key findings, right? Okay, yeah. Okay, so usually towards the end, in the abstract, right? Towards the end, it'll give you some clue about the key findings, usually. Okay. So, after scanning the abstract, I think, it's worthwhile reading. I will read the introduction. Because you don't need to read the whole literature review, because usually the introduction will give you a pretty good idea of what the author we're going to talk about in the literature review, right? Introduction is short, concise, okay? And locate research question. But where can you find research question? At the end of the literature review or at the end of the introduction, right? Yeah, that's right. Okay, so if you understand the structure of article, research articles, you can identify the key information quickly, okay? Read the methodology. So I'm more concerned about methodology, method of study. Because often, for literature review, you can maybe, what the information can get maybe is just like, you can get more references, right? But for literature methodology, I think there's something actually you can, for me, I think is you can criticize more. Methodology, Well, if somebody only did some cholera study, you say, well, it's only a small scale cholera study, right? Okay. I think for methodology, actually, so usually I read carefully on methodology, okay. And this is often, why I try to identify the problems in other study. I start from methodology, okay. And then I scan the results and discussions. Because usually you have a particular, after methodology, you have a part which is called, results, right? And then you have discussions. Sometimes results and discussions can be combined. But often it's a kind of they are separated, okay? And read the conclusion. Why? Why do you need to read the conclusion? Because usually in the conclusion, the author will recapture the key findings again. It also saves their time, okay? All right. So afterwards, you can, please feel free to do any detailed reading of any selected part if necessary. Okay. So this is what I do. Okay. how to take notes in reading. I will share you some of my personal example, okay? Usually I record referencing using APA style. Save your, later when you combine your list, it saves your time. You just copy and paste, right, okay? When I have time, I write a short summary, but often, I just copy and paste the abstract because it's easy to save the time. Because if the articles are good, published by some good, journals, international reputed journals, the abstracts often are very clear. Okay, it contains all the key information you want. Okay, and sometimes I will note down some key findings and references relevant to my topic. I make some action notes, and I will copy or rephrase selected quotations, indicate the page number. When I have time, I will rephrase, because I know in future when I write my article, I can just copy what I have rephrased, right? And sometimes I don't have time, I just copy the original words, but I indicate the page number. So I know, which page number I got this information, but I can go back, easily, right? Okay. I'll show you one example in Word. So this is what I did. So this is APA style, right? Okay. And then this is abstract. I think in this case, I didn't. I think I made a short summary myself. I didn't summarize the whole thing. I just summarized the key information I'm interested in knowing. Okay. For example, so I'm quite interested in one figure. Okay, one figure presented in this work. So I kind of alert to myself. Okay, if I want to read more information about the figure, I have to go back to page 9 for details. And also, you see. It also seems that the proficiency might affect, but actually this is my own words, my own observations. Okay, so maybe something has been overlooked. Okay, another important finding is that the study blah 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 blah. You see, I use the original word, a quotation, direct quotation, and I use page number. So I make sure I wouldn't just copy and paste this sentence into my writing, right? Then I will plagiarize others' work, right? So I won't do that. So I just remind myself that this is kind of direct quotation, right? Okay. So that's one example. Okay. So I do the rest for the other. Okay. This is more systematic example in Excel. Again, if you do this, you need lots of time. So think about that. Okay, so you see, I made an Excel table myself. So this is the journal. The title of the journal, so Computer and Education. So it's an abbreviated term. The author and the year publication focus. Often the focus actually can be identified from the title. Okay. But I'm very interested in the methodology, as I told you. So I see participant like senior high school students and number, also per number, and the method, experiment. So like 2 experimental groups and 1 control group, and they conducted a pre and a post test, and also they used questionnaire and the interview to collect data. So I kind of noted down all the methods they used, and I also take a note of the duration of experiment, 4 weeks. And agent means that who teacher led, and it means actually in this study actually the teacher is also the researcher. Teacher conducted the study. And learning venue, classroom. Because sometimes I think it's interesting, particularly when I'm researching into mobile technology. I'm quite interested in knowing, for example, how mobile technology are used inside the classroom, also outside the classroom. So this is important information for myself. Okay. And language skills, for example, in this study, which language is a focus target, like English, okay? And reading as well. So reading English, okay? And title and abstract. So in this case, I simply copy and paste. The abstract here. And you see, I highlighted in red. So what does it mean? What are these parts I highlighted? Findings, the key findings. Key findings usually is indicated towards the end of the abstract, okay? Sometimes when the keywords, I also note down the keywords. For some articles, I will make my own comments. So I can use in writing afterwards. So these are my own words. Okay, so I make some comments. So later, I can integrate this in my own writing. Okay, or sometimes you say I also have a column possible citations. I don't, for example here. So in this case, I summarized all the key findings myself, all the important, findings I would like to include in my writing. Okay, so I summarize this. Okay, and like here, you see, I use direct quotation. You see that, and also indicate the page number. So I remind myself, okay, I don't copy and paste. I have to rephrase them later. Okay, so this is my personal way of doing literature review. It's very time consuming, as you can see that. Okay, but it's systematic. You can do it, for example, like when you are doing. Well, anyway, just it's up to you. When you have time, do it. Okay. Nowadays I don't have time, so I just read the paper copies, and I will stick some notes to it. It's traditional way. Okay. All right. Anyway. Okay. So that's references. Okay. If you're interested in the article, you can read this. Okay. So just reading. Okay. And we only have one task for the homework. I think we still have one task we didn't finish, so you can complete it at home. Okay. We finished all the tasks, all the 3 tasks. Okay. The 4 tasks, only the last one. Working group or individually. Okay, so you wish. Read a literature review of an article. It's a real article. Okay, which I reviewed a few years ago. And then if I both the strength and weakness with reference to the key features of good literature review in a lecture PowerPoint. Okay, remember there are 5 key features, right? Okay, so try to read the literature review part of this article, identify the strengths and the weakness. Okay, right? Okay. So this appendix 4 here. Okay. So I printed for you. Ready? So that's all for today. Thank you for your patience. I hope you're not too bored. But doing literature review is something very time consuming. You need lots of skills and training. Okay, right? All right. So that's all for today. So have a safe journey back home. Okay. Thank you.